Hello, beautiful souls of the Radiant Evolution Collective, and anywhere you are tuning in from. I'm Aurora Light. I'm a conscious creation and voice activation coach, a soul embodiment guide, and I have been fortunate enough this week to be able to have amazing conversations with some of my favorite people in our Evolve Summit. This is your first time tuning in. Welcome. We're talking to people this week who have been on an incredible journey of listening to their heart and to their soul and taking the aligned action steps that they're being driven to take in alignment with their soul mission. And it is my pleasure to speak with my dear friend and soul sister, Shannon, who has been on quite a fascinating journey over the entire lifetime, but especially over these last 2 years or so, I would say, moving from what I just called before we were on live, the muggle kind of life, where you were working in oil and gas administration and business, and really stepping into follow more of that heart-centered, soul-led path. So I'm so glad that we get to chat about this today. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure to be here. I have really enjoyed our journey together thus far.
Thank you for saying that, because I have too. Would it be okay to actually share how soul and destiny and your intuition actually brought us together to work together?
That was quite the story, yes. So I have been on a bit of a soul journey over the last few years, and I was living remotely for quite a bit of the time, and I wasn't finding anybody that I was resonating with, no common interests. Living remotely, especially in the oil and gas industry, it's kind of a little more, definitely more of a muggle life there. So so every now and then when I was following people from around the world, I would check out comments, and then I would stalk people's Facebook pages and see where they live. So I found Aurora, and she was in Edmonton, which wasn't far from where I was living at the time. And so I took a leap of faith, and I messaged her and I said, "Hey, I found you on Facebook, and you and I follow a couple of the same people and have some of the same interests. Would you be interested in chatting about it?" And so luckily, Aurora said, "Yeah, sure." So we got on a call, and as they say, the rest is history. Oh, I can't hear you. You've muted.
Because I was making some noise and my phone fell down. And I didn't want to be banging around while you were taking that. So I'm grateful all of the time that you trusted your intuition to reach out. There was that ping that just you acted on, and it connected us. And we've had so much fun in all kinds of ways working together one-on-one. You've been part of 2 of my alchemical creation academies, and this most recent series of the Evolve multidimensional mastermind that we did. But also we've had the chance to become friends in real life, which I really appreciate as well. And it's so amazing to think that we would have missed that connection if you had just either ignored that intuitive ping that one day, or if you had just not allowed yourself to take that action that kind of took a lot of courage. It wasn't easy to just reach out to a stranger on the internet.
I felt like a little kid, like, "Will you be my friend?" I was laughing at myself as I was doing it. But yes, it was just an intuitive hit, which turned out very well.
Right? And that's my favorite part about life. Like, these little moments can lead us down these really incredible pathways, these really incredible journeys. And it's really interesting to think about, maybe opportunities that we would have missed if we had not listened to those little nudges.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when we first met, I remember you saying that your intuition, it was there, but you weren't really fully comfortable with all of the things it was asking you to do at the time. What's that journey towards deepening the trust in the intuition been like? And how have you done that over this last 2 years?
My journey inward was a little bit intense. I had come from, working in the oil and gas industry, and basically I was sitting at a desk all day just doing paperwork. So that requires, at the time it required little intuition for me. So I was really on a journey to find something a lot more exciting. And also the oil field had taken a downturn, and I knew that, there would be a time where I would have to shift from that type of work into something else. So I thought, well, you know what, my kids are getting older and I want to change. So why not pursue something that I'm really interested in, and something that will bring me more joy. So looking inward, there was a lot of resistance there. There was a lot of old programming, a lot of shoulding on myself. I should do this, I should do that. And we definitely worked through, we spent hours and hours belief repatterning a lot of those beliefs in order to move forward.
I do vaguely recall that. It was a while ago, and you've made so many shifts and changes throughout that. If people are curious about what belief repatterning is, I am a licensed practitioner of this technique that was developed by Suze Casey that helps people shift a belief that might be keeping them stuck, or something that's unsupportive, or maybe something that was supportive in the past, but when they were trying to survive, and really shift the subconscious mind to believing something that is going to help them thrive instead, like from I can't do this to I can totally do this. Right? And I had a great conversation yesterday with Ashley Vandebrandt, another belief repatterning practitioner. So if you'd like more information specifically about it, we went pretty deep on belief repatterning, but I'm so grateful that it's a technique that has really helped that first stage for you of transformation, which is my first pillar as well. And belief repatterning is one of the tools, because I love helping people come home to themselves, connect with their highest self and their intuition, and then feel courageous and aligned enough to take the action steps that their intuition is telling them, so they can, do the things they came here to do and create the life they came to create. But when you're stuck in all of those beliefs of I can't, or it's too hard, or other programs, it's basically impossible. So we did spend some time on that step. I'm just curious, because it might resonate with some people. Were there any specific programs that you needed to move through to be able to trust your intuition enough to take those steps that you feel like sharing?
Yes, there's a few of them, of course. One of them that pops out was, and this one sounds strange, it actually has some to do with some bad experiences I've had in my past, but it was to have fun. Like, fun for me was scary. I was used to sitting, at a desk. I wasn't going out too often, living remotely. And so that one was a huge one for me to work through. And also just the fear of showing who I really am, showing that magical self, coming out of the muggle world into the shiny, sparkly world. And that was something I'm still working on. I must admit, it's a work in progress. So but a lot of the belief repatterning has definitely helped out with working through those blockages and things that have happened in my past, because everybody has things they're working through all the time. So
yeah, I know we sometimes will get into that pattern of thinking that no one has been through the things that I've been through. No one has these same blocks. And I find that when I speak to people, especially those who have this soul-led desire to help humanity, they feel like they're here on a mission and they want to be of service. All of us at some point or another have had that fear of really fully stepping into who we really are. Because there's that old programming that can be from childhood, but also from our ancestry, or from our epigenetics, or from our soul memories, or just from the collective consciousness of magical people get burned at the stake. They get exiled or hung or drawn and quartered, right? We could call it the witch wound. And that's prevalent in every single light worker, starseed, grid worker, multidimensional magical being who's an anchor of light that feels that heart-centered service desire and that soul mission, right? And I think that's something so universal for us that we're moving through, because it's really the first time in millennia that it has been safe enough to be able to have this conversation and talk about our multidimensional experiences, our intuition, our magic, without somebody, kind of like, witch, burn her.
Yes, to go from the head to the heart was a huge step, because it's easy to, for me, to get stuck in my head and go round and round and round. But yet I find if I go into my heart and make decisions from there, the transition has been a lot easier. Life has been flowing a lot more fluidly and a lot more, how do I explain it? Things always happen. There's always going to be setbacks. But overall, the outcome of making heart-centered decisions has been beneficial for me and has moved me forward a lot more quickly, easily, and with grace than making mind decisions all the time. Like sometimes it's still needed. The ego is there to protect us and to keep us safe, but sometimes, I have to tell it to take a back seat and, understand that these fears are there to protect us, but may not be needed any longer. So to take that courage and the intuitive step to move forward. So yeah, belief repatterning and working with you and through many of your courses have really explored that. And those qualities within me that that I knew were there, but needed to be brought out, dusted off, and shined up a little bit. Yeah.
I love that. And I will also find, and tell me if you find this as well, but those heart-centered decisions, they actually lead me towards having more fun in life as well.
Right. Yes, there's that fun word again, the one that I'm still resistant to. Yes, it doesn't have to always be so hard or so serious, which I still get caught up in. Yeah, trying to have a little bit more fun. Not trying, there's my word again. Belief repattern on the spot.
Yeah, well, I'm so glad that you caught yourself. And this is what happens with the old programs. Sometimes they're still in there, but just for everybody wondering, well, why can't you try? Like, why shouldn't she say that? It's because you don't need to try to have fun. You just get to have more fun, right? It's trying that is the striving, whereas being, allowing, can bring it into the present moment. And I get it. When I was a kid, I wasn't that into fun at all. I was super serious, just waiting to grow up. And it wasn't until I was in my really late teens, early 20s that I even learned the value of fun and sacred play. I started to find as one of the most healing things for my inner child that I think never felt safe enough to fully relax enough to play. Right? So this is something that can be learned as an adult, even if we have had a past of being really serious. It's never too late to start injecting more fun into it. And then that brings us that resilience. It brings us that ability to make the challenges of life flow a little bit more easily, I think.
Yes, you are definitely good at bringing out the fun in situations, which I just love it. All the workshops you do are so much fun in different ways. You know, the dancing, the singing. Well, I don't sing, but you do. Even the light language, I love that. Coloring, drawing light language, it's a lot of fun. Dance, I didn't mention that. Lots of dance, movement.
Yeah, I have found through, over a decade now of teaching people how to connect with their highest self and align with it, that when things are super serious and heavy feeling, we actually don't get a lot of forward momentum, which is so shocking. You'd think that being in that state of feeling heaviness and like nothing is any fun and it's so serious would be the best way to learn, right?
No.
I mean, it doesn't work with kids.
No.
We're wired to learn through play. That's how all kids learn, and we don't actually grow out of it. We just like think we do, and we stop injecting as much fun into it. But we actually are able to make shifts and transformations and new connections in our brain so much more quickly when we have some freaking fun with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, big kids can learn how to play as well. Yes. Yeah. Grabbing that little inner child and bringing them out, having some fun.
Yes, exactly. And it's a process sometimes. It's easy for life to get too heavy. And especially this last year, right? But it always seems like there's stuff going on personally, collectively. So there can be some thoughts at times of like, oh man, like I have to be serious right now. I shouldn't be playing, or even I shouldn't be taking time for myself. I should be, of service and giving, especially as someone who does have a heart and somebody who has been a mom too. We can fall into those programs of service to others and being very serious and very giving. But then there's this depletion that can happen that I think you also know. If anybody has been a mom or raised kids in any way, I think we can fall into this program of giving to others more than ourselves. So that's been a journey for you as well over this while, because your kids are adults now, and there's been this opportunity to refocus on the self. So what has that journey been like? Tell me, because I'll get there eventually.
Well, it's a bit of a journey for sure. Yeah, I put a lot of energy into raising my kids. They were very energetic, very independent children that didn't like to follow the rules, which I'm grateful for. But on the other hand, as a mother, that makes it a little more challenging. So yeah, once they have grown up, time to take some self-care time. Yeah, and a lot has happened in the world and in people's individual lives as well. And so learning how to take care of oneself, all those self-care practices are so important. Yeah, it's been a journey. But yeah, the kids, and then, so you can teach your kids then how to have some self-care as well, which I know you're probably working on with your little one already.
Yes. Well. Modeling it is really important to me, because honestly, it wasn't modeled to me all the time. And I found it very difficult when she was very fresh and new. And I was like, why can't I take an hour for myself and go to yoga? Why do I feel such immense guilt? Why is it physically hurting me to not be there for her all the time, which was draining me, killing me slowly, and not great for my mental health or my physical health or my emotional health? But I was like, why? Why is this so hard? And when I was laying in Shavasana at a yoga class that I'd snuck away to, it's like, why is this so hard? Because my husband was super supportive. He's like, go do the things. Like, you need to do things for you, please, because you're driving me crazy. And I felt inside me this root, and it felt like it was black, and it was throughout my nervous system. And it was like this program of sacrifice that I realized through this intuitive download that the mothers that sacrificed for their kids had kids that survived, right? And those genes were then passed down. And so I was like, okay, wow, this is one of those things where what helped us get here and survive is not actually the same thing that's going to help us to thrive. And so it took a lot of repatterning and a lot of energy work to remove this structure from me so that I could move from being almost insulted when someone suggested I take the first 10 minutes of the day for myself as a young mom who also had a business. I was like, oh, I can't do that. I have a kid. Blah, blah, blah. But all lies and stories I was telling myself, to now being an advocate for taking time for me and encouraging other moms and people in general, parents, caregivers, anybody, everybody, to take that time for themselves and give to themselves first. So
yeah, that was a difficult lesson for me to learn. I felt like I always had to be on, always had to be a mom, and always had to be ready for the kids. But, you know, as they grow older, then they need to learn the independence too, and letting go. Well, it wasn't too hard for me, but well, maybe a little bit, but it's you know, it's hard to turn off the mom gene and unplug from the mom job in order to take some time for myself, for me. So
yeah, and I know that's actually come up right now if we move to where you're at right now, which is a whole lot of studying. You are really in the process of creating the foundation for the business that you're going to create with so many programs that you've taken or are taking. And I know sometimes you'll be like, I did not get enough done. And I just, sometimes there can be guilt with that. I mean, who hasn't had guilt about not getting what we thought we should have done? Can you speak into a little bit about that balance as you're really trying to like create and learn and grow, but also need the time to be?
well, luckily I'm kind of going on taking some mom time. So now it's kind of shifted from learning and doing some healing work as well. So I still need to be gentle with myself. There's patterns, you know, that are passed down through families that I'm learning about. Mother lines have their patterns, you know, and they're taught from generation to generation. Same with father line lineages as well. I kind of didn't think I had too much to learn from my father line, and I realized lately that there is a lot that I've learned from him as well. But also the mothers on that line, I've learned a lot. I've been doing a lot of work with. Well, I've been working on some past life stuff. I've been digging in, learning about hypnotherapy over the last year, some Reiki, and then getting into Akashic records. So I've been learning about these patterns and looking back and looking at the patterns in the family and healing them. So I was actually able to connect with one of my grandmothers who has passed over, and her and I never connected in the like real life on Earth. And I'd always kind of wondered why. And there was a lot of things that happened in her family, and it was kept kind of quiet. And so I was doing an Akashic record clearing the other day, and she popped in, and it was really interesting to finally be able to have a little bit of I wouldn't say it was quite of a conversation. I'm not quite there yet, but I did get some downloads from her that many of the things that I have experienced in my life, she experienced in her life. And so it was really interesting to be able to finally kind of understand where some of that is coming from, because I always thought it was coming from my mother line, but it was actually my dad's mom, where I had some big connections with. So we actually connected really beautifully after that. And actually, I've kind of felt her come close to me since, and it's been a really neat experience. So we were able to do some emotional healing, and there was some cord cutting that we did there, and then close some Akashic records, which clears up the energy fields in this life here. And so there's not that pull from what somebody may think is something that's difficult in their life now, may actually have pulls from something in this life, but also can also pull from other lives as well. So it's been a fascinating journey over the last year or so, being able to explore some of these past life things and see how they connect as well.
That's a journey that many of us have been on. And if you're not on it already, if you're feeling the call at all, or if you're feeling resonance with this, it's time to explore it. This is the time right now for us to clear out all of those old Akashic loops and records and clean up our epigenetics so that we can come into this space of who we really are, instead of replaying all of these family stories and these old soul stories as well. So there is just, so much value there. And I love that it's like a lot of the techniques and modalities that you're studying right now all really have that in common. So you were mentioning the hypnosis, and you can do the past life work there. And Reiki, of course, is beautiful for the energetics of it. But there's the one that you were speaking that goes more directly into the Akash. And I know that is something that you're actually looking for some practicum people to practice with. So do you want to maybe tell us a little bit more about it? And then you can make an invitation if anybody's feeling I need that energy.
Sure. Yeah, sure. So I'm taking an Akashic record course, and it's extremely fascinating. I'm just, I was going to say starting in on it. I've been in on it a little ways, but now I'm looking for some practicum clients to work with. And so in exchange for the session, I would be asking for a form to be filled out that can be emailed back to my mentors. And it's a simple form. There's a link for it. Excuse me. So if anybody is interested in there, you can just, if you would message me over Messenger, and I will send in a little form out for you to, see what your interests are, see what you are working on, and see if I can help you with anything and move forward from there.
I haven't worked directly with Shannon, or this Shannon at least, but I've worked with a few other practitioners doing this particular modality, and it has been super, super powerful. And I honestly, I've taken some of the Akashic stuff myself, and being able to clear things has opened up channels for possibility and creation that has been a lot faster than trying to brute force my way through it, if that makes sense.
It right? Does, yes. A lot of these things we think we have to push through. And I've recently learned that it's actually fairly easy. Once we understand where that comes from and why it's there, then we can just remove that, and it clears up the energy so easily. The energy affects the body so much, like stress on the body, even energetic pulls from other people. Sometimes you can walk in a room and feel other people's energy, and that pull that can happen across time and space as well. It's not just, once you leave the room. It's like maybe you've had a feeling somebody's going to give you a phone call, and then the phone rings and there they are. So, energy is not always linear. So it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. So interesting.
There's a few people that are watching live that are saying, like, I've done a session with you and it was super helpful. And people are saying they learned so much. There's a couple people that have worked with you, and how magical it is. And I can't wait to do a session with you sometime as well, because that is one of my favorite things with you, is that you really do have intuitive gifts that really are coming online, but you've got access to a lot of information that just, it feels really profound. Like when you speak into it, I feel it as truth in my body.
Yeah, it's been a journey. Yeah, I'm enjoying coming into it. I'm still working on it, of course. One's never quite there, but the journey from getting from there, from where I was to where I want to go, has been really, really interesting, and much more better than sitting at a desk doing paperwork. Now I'm
Yeah.
sitting at a desk and I'm going through people's past lives and checking them out, and we get some pretty interesting ones happening. Not all of them are exciting, but everybody learns something from every experience in life they have, and we can take a look at and see what those lessons are. Sometimes you don't have to have a lot of drama or trauma in order to learn a lesson. Sometimes it's quite simple and mundane. I've had mundane lives that are really, really boring, and I'm going through it going, what is the point of this? And so it's interesting to find out at the end, going through that.
Mm.
Yes, Ruby Lease is an adventure for sure. It is.
Yeah, I mean, it always is. And same where I've had like some lives that I've looked at that are a little bit more mundane, or that are really easy compared to other lives. And that really gives me a lot of peace, actually. Not only just to know that this is not the only chance we have here, so it's not like one shot done and you're screwed if it doesn't go as planned. But just really that we don't have to learn even all the lessons at the same time, right? That we get more than one. And we're able to also, at this time, pull the wisdom forward from lives that we have learned in the past, right? Like that's accessible to us now. We don't have to have this separation or this veil of forgetfulness anymore. And we can bring in the wisdom of what we have already experienced to navigate right now, which is so cool.
Mm-hmm. A time like no other that we've had for a long, long time.
So it's so exciting to be here now, and it's so much fun to explore. And you know what I really love about your story right now is that you do talk about the journey, because you're not at some kind of like final destination place. And I would love for you to talk a little bit about some of your processing about like deciding how, when there's so many multitudes of courses to take and things you could do that can almost be overwhelming. But before we do, there is someone that's just asking a question about your practicum that you can answer as well.
The consent form would just be more about me asking what you're looking for in the session, what issues or troubles are you dealing with at the moment, how are things going in your life, and how willing are you to move forward and work through this, because sometimes it can get difficult. Sometimes you have to dig deep, and sometimes a lot of emotions come up, and it can be hard and heavy work. So looking for some people who are, a bit of a mixture, looking for some people, who are just kind of exploring, but also some that are willing to work and move a little deeper as well. So that's mostly what the consent form is. Actually, not so much a consent form, but just a more of a questionnaire.
Hmm.
And then the agreement that you'll fill out the practicum form for my mentors so that I get credit for it.
Yes, the energy exchange, and that y'all consent to sharing your information with your mentor as well. Like that's important, because
So death and injury, I can't see that happening. So That's funny. That may have happened in past lives and not here. Not yet.
Not yet. Dun, dun, dun.
Yes.
I mean, you can't be responsible if like a plane crashes into their house and takes them out while you're doing the session. That's still not on you.
Right. Yes. No, it's we can tone back on any emotions that come up in session as well. Just if it's too much, we can pull out and go back to a safe space, or we can just say, hey, guides and angels, like this is a little bit too much right now, like lighten up, and then that works as well. So it's all client based, it's all client led. A person can only go as deep as they're willing to, so it's always based on what the client wants to do.
Absolutely. But I think the value that comes is actually having someone who's able to hold space for you to go deep. Like, I love sessions where I will be triggered and I'll be crying or something like that, because I don't do that on my own very effectively, but it's in there somewhere. And so when I'm with someone that's holding space for me, it's such a beautiful process to be able to dive in deep and really shift things, move things, instead of staying on the surface as I am wont to do if I am just working on my own, left to my own devices.
Yeah, we don't tend to dig too hard when we're on our own, or a lot of people don't. When somebody is there, has your back, it's a lot easier. Yeah. Space.
Yeah. And I think that's the value of working with people one-on-one. It's the value of having coaches and practitioners and healers and trying things out, but also following your intuition. So I think that was the other thing that I was curious about. You've been on this journey of like, oh my gosh, all of these things seem so awesome. What's the process like for anybody that's kind of starting out, or they're like, I wonder what direction I should go in. I want to be a healer. I want to be a teacher. I want to be a coach. How do you make those decisions on which path to follow?
Yeah. So that one was, again, getting out of my head and getting into my heart. And so I know a lot of times you actually guided me on that, because I would be spinning and going, well, I could do this or that. And actually, Robbie Lee's helped me out with some of that as well. But just getting out of the head, getting into the heart, and then taking the space to feel into each one of those trajectories. Like, you could go this way, you could go this way, you could go forward, and just feeling into which one lights you up the most. Some, but also I have found recently that some of it is also which one scares the shit out of you a little bit more too, because that's the one that's going to push you out of your boundaries and get you moving forward more quickly. So again, there's some of the harder, a little bit more difficult work that can need to be done in order to move forward. So the intuition, again, just basically heart-centered, but it has to be energetically there too. Like, fear and excitement are very similar in energetic feeling. I just find that fear has the lack of love energetics to it. So I know a lot of times I would really want to do something, but I was scared to. And I would say, oh, I'm afraid to do that. And then sitting in that heart space and adding the love to it, like calling in that love, calling in guidance from higher self, from your angels, from your guides, bringing that into the heart center, and then experiencing that moving outward and flowing through the body, changes that energy, shifts it from one of fear-based to love-based. And, sometimes you have to keep doing that as well. It's not like it's not always a one and done thing, but, the more afraid I am, it's, you move forward the most. I've moved forward the most. So.
Yeah. the things that aren't in our comfort zone, but are rather in our learning zone, which can, if we're framing it without the love, can just feel like outside the comfort zone, terrifying, scary, out of the bubble. But yeah, bringing the love into it and the growth and the opportunity really does shift a lot of that for me and for people that I've worked with as well. And I just want to remind people that there aren't any wrong decisions, though, either. Sometimes you'll go for something, a program, a technique, a modality, and you're like, wow, this isn't actually either what I thought it was, or it's not for me. And you wind up deciding to change course or pivot. But that can actually be a really, really great thing. Maybe you just needed to go and pick up a few of the codes from that other place. Or maybe you needed the contrast to be like, okay, I tried that, now I know, and I'm looking for something else.
Exactly, yeah. And I went through a little bit of that as well. Is saying, okay, this is not what I wanted. But along the way, I also learned to distinguish a little more clearly about how that looked as an intuitive hit, because sometimes when it is it does have fear along with it, then sometimes it's a little bit more tricky how to decide, is this what I should do? And I mean, nothing I was making the decisions about were, like totally life altering or anything really on a, a huge perspective. So, if I did something that I didn't like, then I just, took what I could learn from it and move forward.
Mm.
And a lot of times you and I worked in, settled into sacred space and kind of the oneness. And then we'd work out from there, also creating, if I had an idea of what I would like to have happen, then I've really enjoyed going into the oneness space together and holding that, and then creating from there and moving out as well. So creating new ideas from that space as well. That's really fun.
I love those times when we go into 0 point and really get aligned in sacred space, and then we can ask questions from that heart-centered space where we're not in a fear-based place. And it's funny, but it's harder to do that alone. Way harder. It's so much easier when someone's holding space for you. Mm-hmm. And it's also really profound to be able to feel the possibility without the fear, right? Like, because you feel so held by your team or by that sacred essence that we can tap into. So those are some of my favorite moments. I love guiding people into their heart space to connect with their intuition, their highest self, and then go, okay, what's next? What's going to light you up the most? What's in alignment with your cosmic trajectory? And there's an interesting question here from Erin asking, was choosing to share with us today something that took you from your comfort zone?
Definitely. Yes. Definitely did some repatterning on this as well. Yeah, it was a step forward for me as well. So, but very enjoyable. Of course, working with Aurora is just fantastic. So,
yeah, I did promise it could be fun. So I was like, we'll make it fun.
That's right.
And that's the thing. If we can take our comfort zone into the learning zone and bring in some of that fun energy instead of making it heavy and serious, new things can be more enjoyable and fun. And I mean, God, one of the biggest messages that comes through me from my aspect of self and from my friends and the spirit team up there is humans take stuff way too seriously most of the time. Yeah. And they're just like, guys, like, could you maybe have some fun with this gorgeous place that you are in? And I know it's heavy, I know it's hard, but like, there's beauty and there's magic and there's fun available in it as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's something I think why I was attracted, like we energetically connected right away, is because of the fun aspect that you provide and learning how to have fun. I know I get that message all the time from my angels and guides, like, go have some fun. And it's like, I'm learning. So.
And it's a practice. And I truly believe that like sacred play is the fastest way to get into vibrational alignment and connect with those higher frequencies where you have more access to your intuition, to all your spiritual teams, to your gifts, to abundance, to all of that stuff. So I know it's something that we focus on in the playground membership that you're a part of and in pretty much all of the other spaces as well. So I know that we've done lots of work together, but there's something I just want to mention for you to hold space for me as I'm embarking on this. One thing that is in my learning zone too, an opportunity that came along for me to bring things together to support entrepreneurs in being able to take these steps into actually becoming an entrepreneur, because a lot of people I know are at that precipice. They're in the muggle job or they're doing something that doesn't feel super soul aligned. And in the past, I've worked with people that are already sort of on that journey to expand their business, to amplify their business. But I'm creating a new program, to a coaching certification and facilitator training program I've told you a little bit about, but it is called Conscious Creation Coaching. And it's going to be this program where people can learn not only how to run a business, but also gain the skills to work with the elemental forces of creation through sacred play and movement and sound and working with Gaia and all of the things that I love, and build a business to coach and facilitate and build their own spiritual academy.
Wow.
So
Beautiful.
It's going to be super exciting.
Yes.
And I know you've worked with different coaching certification programs and other things, but I just want to drop that out because we're talking about this, making that leap. And how do you, right? You need to take some classes and get some structure and practice. So if it resonates with anybody, I am going to just drop the link to the mailing list or the wait list for the email list for when I've got all of the information available, because I think there's more than one person here that is like ready to take a leap to that more heart-centered space that you have done, that you are holding in your field. This is what it looks like and this is what it feels like to start to move into heart and mind and soul coherence.
Yes, I wouldn't have been nearly as far along as I am if I hadn't worked with you over the last year, and especially taking the courses that you have. I love the play now, which is, I never would have thought I would have said that about a year and a half ago. But I love working with the elementals and the Gaia you work with a lot, and it's so much fun.
It does get to be fun. And I do remember that when we touched the surface of it the first time that it might have come up in a session about having more fun, and there was like the recoil where you're like, I can't do that. And look at you now.
There's no room for that. There's no time for fun. Yeah. Now I make time for fun. So.
I love that. And it really, really, really shows. It shows in your energetic field. It shows in how you're moving through all of these new experiences in your life. And it shows just from your entire essence and being. And honestly, I just want you to take a moment to appreciate how far you really have come. So if I had asked you a year ago to come and do this with me, I don't think you would have said yes.
No, definitely not. But I sure appreciate the opportunity, and it has been fun.
I'm so glad. It's been so much fun for me too. I love every time we get to connect and have an amazing conversation. So thank you so much for having this conversation with me, and also holding in your field that possibility of you can make a giant leap into something that feels more aligned, right? Even if you don't know exactly how, it's just taking those first steps, and then that action creates more clarity.
And having somebody to guide you along the way.
Super helpful. I have so many guides and coaches and mentors that I could not work without. I couldn't do the work that I do. And also I have to shout out all of my amazing friends who, like you, and like everyone that's been on the summit, and a lot of the people that are watching that also inspire me every day. We can't do this alone. We're not supposed to.
No, we're not supposed to. Yet another thing I'm learning as well is we can learn and we can grow together. We can support each other, which is so much more energizing and fun and beautiful when we can learn and grow together.
Right? It's
each
literally the best. So if you're watching and you feel that Shannon would be able to support you in some of that learning and growth with her Akashic records, clearing and healing, please reach out to her on Facebook. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can email me at info@joyevolution.com, and I can connect you with Shannon as well. So as we're closing up here, Shannon, I just want you to take a moment and tap into your heart and feel if there's anything else that needs to be shared.
I just want to thank everyone who is listening now, and anyone who will listen in the future, and especially a huge thanks to you, Aurora, for all that you've helped me with and guided me through over the last year and a bit here. And I really look forward to continue working with you. And I'm so excited about your new program. That's going to be so awesome. So congratulations on your moving forward as well.
We get to rise together, and that's the best part. That's this new paradigm that we're embodying, right? Where it's not competition or scarcity. It's that we just get to find collaborations and connections that are win-win-win. I love it so much. Thank you so much for coming to speak, and for everyone watching. I will be back tomorrow at noon Mountain Time with Candace McPherson, who is of Joya Us Therapies. And speaking of sacred play and having fun, oh my gosh, you have to tune in for that one. Laughter yoga and so much more coming through this beautiful soul. And we'll finish up with one of my most amazing creative friends, who is a photographer who has really specialized and niched down into something so soulful and magical. And she does fantasy boudoir. So if you've ever seen a picture of me decked out in spray paint and magic and sparkles and glitter, that's her. And that'll be at 2 p.m. Mountain Time tomorrow as well. So be sure to tune in live or catch the replay. If you've been watching this on YouTube, please make sure you like and subscribe and leave a comment about how you found this conversation and if it inspired you to take some time to make more fun in your life. All right, everyone, have a beautiful rest of your day. We'll see you soon.
No, where's the camera?
Bye.